all of you for making the time. I know it's a lot Friday to dedicate to this. This is going to be very much a 40,000-foot overview. We're going to have a basic kind of starting point with what Trex decking and railing and fasteners are. Don't know everybody's level of knowledge and baseline. So some of you may be more familiar with Trex and composite decking and others, but we wanted this to be kind of that first setting the groundwork for it, because we know DW has not been in the Trex business for very long. So we want to really start at a baseline to get you comfortable with our product lines, from the decking, the railing, the fasteners, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be very product heavy. We certainly want it to be two-way street. We'll be presenting quite a bit of content. So please jump in, ask a question, challenge us. You know, what are you hearing out there? Provide us feedback, right? We get better when we listen to you. So we want you to be very comfortable here. But in addition to the product knowledge portion, we're also going to cover some of the other topics that are our strength, and by extension yours, with pull-through. Contractor programming, marketing programs, stocking positions, a lot of other things that are going to help you, help your the dealers, and by extension, their contractors be more successful, right? We make a damn good product, so do our competitors too. But the secret sauce here for us for 30 years has been helping generate demand by strong branding, and then all at the contractor pull-through demand generation level. And we're bringing those values to you. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Stephen.
So first of all, thanks for coming. My name is Stephen Phillips. I'm a product manager at Trex. I work out of the corporate office in Winchester, Virginia. I've been with Trex for 13 years now. And actually, my previous job was Prime Source. I worked out of the Irving branch, so from this area. It's nice to be back. I want to go through kind of a high-level product portfolio discussion about how are our boards constructed, why is wood alternative decking sort of having a moment right now and becoming more and more popular, and then go through some specific product plans that we've got, especially in the range. But first, I want to start with why Trex. I mean, you're trying to sell Trex deck boards. You're kind of selling more than just the deck board, right? There's a lot of companies out there that are viable and make good quality boards. First and foremost, we are the sort of industry. So if you ask me for a Kleenex and I hand you a Scott's or a Plus, are you going to reject it? Right? So we're kind of that Kleenex brand. We're sort of that, I call some friends periodically and say, oh, I bought a house with a Trex deck on it. And they take a picture and it's different. So we fight that. It's good and bad. It's a double-edged sword, right? But that's because 20, 30 years ago, we invented the category. So the history of Trex, I'll really condense it all down pretty quickly. But in the mid-'80s, a guy named Roger Wittenberg had a side business, and he was generating a lot of low-density polyethylene plastic sacks and hardwood scrap. And he didn't want to throw that away. He wanted to recycle it. The recycling industry wasn't what it is today. So he started experimenting with mono extrusion and trying to make different shapes and things out of it. Some people say he's trying to make a long burning wood log. I'm not sure if that's right or not, because you don't want to burn LVPP, but whatever. So the products that he was making that were failures, he noticed weren't degrading when he put them out by the barn. They were holding up pretty well in the elements. And so came up with some ideas to make, signposts and, the barriers around playgrounds and curb stops and picnic tables. That company grew into a company called Rivenite. Mobile bought Rivenite about 5 or 10 years after it was founded. Rivenite was a B2B company. They just sold to municipalities and parks and things like that. Somewhere along the way, somebody had the idea to try to make a deck board that took off like wildfire, and that company name was changed to Trex. The founding fathers of Trex, they basically got a $20 million loan and bought their technology back from Mobile, went out on their own. April of '99, not got big enough that they were able to issue an IPO and go public as Trex. So Trex is basically the first name in short of Trex. So April of '99 was the first time a wood alternative deck board was sort of mass marketed to the entire nation. And that started an entire industry of wood alternative decking. So over the last 3 decades, we've taken that Trex name and we've invested billions and billions of dollars. And that's what's created the Kleenex effect, as I cited earlier. The other reason that we think the brand is so strong is we're very careful in hand-picking the right distributors in each market and not having too many. Most markets, we just have 2 to just kind of keep everybody honest. There's a couple markets where we have 3. But what we don't do is we don't flood the zone with 7 distributors in one market where it becomes a feeding frenzy to cut price to get turns, right? So we try to pick the best distributors. We try to work with them because they have the best sales networks. They have the best salespeople, and we feel like we do too in the industry. Combined, that gives us a lot of power. From a product perspective, I'm going to talk a lot about how we're completing our outdoor living offering today. So we have you covered low to high better than anybody in the industry could on decking, right? A little bit of a gap in the middle. We'll talk about that too. But in railing, there's several check boxes that we don't tick, and we're going to talk about those. We also have a commitment to quality. So anybody who manufactures anything is going to have quality problems. We're not immune to that either. But what we are doing is we are investing in technology to try to make our quality more automated and even better than it is today. So last couple of years, we've been working on bite-wise machines that measure the boards as they come through the extrusion line. There's a red, green, yellow light for the operator. If it goes red, they've got to change some settings and parameters because we're not out of spec conventionally. We're also working right now on using AI and vision systems to measure streaked boards. When I say that, it's very difficult on the line for our operators because these colors can blend and they're sort of intentionally randomized, right? We don't want to make the exact same foggy work board every time. Sometimes the streaker doesn't melt out as much and you get sort of these stripy streaks. And sometimes it blends out a whole lot and you don't see the streaks as much and it just kind of colors the board. And so we're working on ways to take millions of data points per linear foot and breaking those down using AI to determine if this board is max light, max dark, or target, right? And so that's coming soon. We're pretty excited about where we are on that, but R&D has been driving that. Innovation's been a big part of it. That's part of our innovation. Other parts that show innovation. This is the first laminated wood plastic composite deck board in the industry. So every other laminated wood alternative deck board has been PVC up to this point. So Signature it took us 8.5 years. So it better be innovative. The plug system has a lot of patents around it. There's just a lot of different things that we've done. Now, some of the stuff I'm going to show you today is going to be a little B2, but we still are really focusing on trying to be innovative. And then we have a ton of support from 1-800-BUY-TREX. If you don't know about 1-800-BUY-TREX, you can call them with literally any question. Obviously, your rep would be your first touch point, but if you can't reach your rep and you have a question, that's a call center that are Trex employees in Winchester. They're just downstairs from products. We train them. They're really good at what they do. It's a great first touch point if you have a claim or you have an installation question or a problem. Definitely reach out. We do have a lot of sales support in the field. We have a product team and an R&D team that is very easy to reach. If you want my number or my email, I'm happy to give it to you. You can skip the salesperson and go directly to me. I'm a very service-oriented person, as are the other 3 product managers on the team. Because that's what I say to every salesperson I've ever talked to or trained is my biggest pet peeve is somebody who says, I'm sorry to bother you. Because if you're calling me and you're asking me a product question, you're talking about my product lines, right? You're trying to push Trex. It's never a bother to help somebody sell a product because that's how I feed my kids. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. And then we'll talk about it more in more depth later today. But the Trex Pro program is critical to pulling products through. Now, we try to get to the consumer and have the consumer demand Trex by brand name. That doesn't always work. And when that doesn't work, when you have a Trex Pro that is dialed into your system and they're growing the business and you're helping them grow their business, it's definitely, people defer to contractors a lot. It's definitely a good, strong, powerful tool. So don't sleep on the Trex Pro program. It can really help you. So that's a little bit of why Trex. This is a little bit about why wood alternatives. So all I really want to focus on, there's a lot of content on the slide, but really the focus here is just this picture's a pretty powerful picture. Lumber has changed a lot. They're growing treated lumber faster than they ever have before. They're treating it more quickly than they have before, so the treatment isn't getting in as deep. But what you're getting is, versus old growth forests where the growth rings were very tight, right? Every one of these is a year or a season. Now we're growing them very fast and you're getting a lot of porosity. You're getting very, very soft lumber. Wood decking sucks. It warps, it splits, it splinters, it cups, it does all sorts of terrible things way faster than it used to. So people that might be pulling up an old ACQ deck from back in the day that might have lasted 25 years, they put the new, what's MCQ or what are the other MCA. There's several different treatments out there. None of them work nearly as well as the old arsenic base. So they're going to be surprised. And those are all customers, right? What's the target market for Trex? Every wood deck that's sitting out there right now deteriorating and rotting, because those people are usually the customers that say, I don't want to do this again. The other thing to think about when you're selling Trex is break even. So while this beech dune board might be $250, let's just say retail per linear foot, and that 2018 treated lumber might be 75 cents to $1 a linear foot, you're going to have to stain and treat that every 2 to 3 years, especially in a harsh market like we see in Texas. And as you start to add those costs up, a lot of times payback is within 5 years on the least expensive product. Now, as a product gets more expensive, that gets longer. But my point is there's really no reason to build with wood anymore. It just doesn't make logical sense. It doesn't make.
We always tell them, take a picture of the day they install it, because that's as good as it's ever going to look.
Yeah, that's a great point. 25 years later, we have 25-year faith savings, right? So our products have been the same for 25 years. We'll talk a little bit about our construction of our board. We say shelf stock. What do you get when you try to take off a turtle's shell? Sorry. What do you get?
Turtle without a shell.
Yeah, the shell is literally the backbone of the turtle, right? And so it's not Mario Brothers. It doesn't pop right off. But the shell is integral to the turtle, just like it is for our products. Like, so if you go to Trex U and you go see our quality control demo that we do there, we're breaking boards. We test board strength constantly because it's obviously a critical safety element of the board. But one of the things that we look for and we see every time we do a break test is the bonding of the shell and the core. There's a molecular bond to our product, the unique elements that we use in our process that other companies don't have. And that's one of the reasons why they say cap stock and they don't say shell stock. You can take a cap right on and off. Take one of our competitors, take a butter knife away from your body. Be careful, please. But try to peel their shell and try to peel our shell. The proof is in the pudding. It's almost impossible to peel our shell off without taking core with it. The other thing that our competitors like to talk about, and it used to be one specific, now there's multiple competitors that mention it, but 3-sided versus 4-sided. Okay, so Trex boards are 3-sided on purpose. The reason why they're 3-sided is product performance. Let's just say this is 50-50 wood and LDPE plastic, lytic polyethylene, right? Wood absorbs moisture. All wood does, no matter what. What do you think is going to happen if the end of this board, gets enough moisture absorption? What's the end of the board going to do? Swell, pop, split. Be a tripping hazard on a deck, right? We call it dog boning. There's no way to avoid dog boning with a 4-sided board. You really need to seal the edge of the board so that water can't get in. With a 3-sided board, water actually escapes out of the bottom, right? So can Trex make a 3-sided, can Trex make a 4-sided board? Signature fascia this is a deck board. The signature fascia, because of the way it runs on a lamination line, has to be 4-sided through the grippers and the pressure and all that. So yes, we already make a 4-sided. Produce it right now, but we don't want to with our decking because it doesn't make a better product. So it's just one thing to highlight and come back with. We'll spend a couple minutes on this slide. I want to talk about the good, better, best, and kind of the lineup and the timing of everything. So in 2019, our crystal balls were broken. We did not see the demand spike that COVID was going to bring. We didn't see COVID coming, obviously. And we launched a price point monochromatic and a price point streaked board. Right? This is our good category in hands. And it literally knocked the cover off the industry. The demand it created was unsustainable. And for the next 4 or 5 years, we were oversold every single peak season. We just couldn't keep up because people that hadn't been considering composites. So let's just say where it transcended is what, 450, 550 a foot at that time. We're comparing 75 cents to 450. That dog won't play, right? That just doesn't resonate with people. But when you get down to $2, all of a sudden, wait a second. It's only $1 more linear foot for materials. Now we can start to consider composites and bring people in. So it's been great for bringing people into the funnel. We always wanted to do the balancing and the sort of the profit top, the high end strategy. But because COVID prevented our ability to get in front of consumers and doing consumer research and focus groups, it took a little longer than we wanted. So our good category is our Trex Enhanced Basics. This is the wood conversion board. That's all this is. We don't want to bring people down, right? We want to move people up. It's a scalloped 1-inch board. It's monochromatic in 3 colors. There's nothing super special about it. It's got our lowest. Oh, before I say that, as we move people up the continuum, what is the consumer paying for as they go from $250 to $850? What are they getting as they move up the continuum? Warranty gets so perfect. Yeah, so we got 25. 35, 50. Yeah, warranties there, right?
One thing is the scalloped bottom, so people prefer the solid bottom.
Absolutely. So you've got a lot of contractors hate scallops. So at our lowest end, you've got the full 1-inch with the multi-scallop. When you go to the middle at select, you've got a 7/8 solid board, and everything else above it is going to be a full 1-inch full profile board. Less springy. Contractors like the way the ends look. They just like working with it from fastening perspective as well. There's a lot of reasons why contractors like scallops.
Why the 8-inch? Why the 8-inch decrease on?
So when we evaluated that change by taking an 1/8 inch away, our unit, roughly the same weight, goes from 48 pieces to 64 pieces. So it's money. That core is not free. Now, the most expensive part of a board is the shell stock, but this obviously costs money to, to manufacture as well. So that 1/8 inch allows us to hit that mid-tier price point. It also avoids mix and matching, which kind of isolates that 7/8 board in the middle, right? It's a strategy that's worked really well for us to keep people from saying, oh, well, I'll do the field in pebble gray, and then I'm going to just do the perimeter in transcend or signature. Right? You can't mix and match.
It's a very popular contract board. That's like.
Yep. So yeah, what's one more product attribute that you get as you go up the continuum? Yep, so you get durability. So the most expensive part of the board is this shell stock. That's not this saying this is free, but the proprietary polymer blends that we put into our shell stocks, they differ from product line to product line, and they cost differently. So the shell stock that we put on that Beach Dune board that I passed around, it's the same exact formulation as this Foggy Wharf board that's in the naturals category that costs about $1 more. The difference is we put streaker in this, so the consumer is paying for pretty. So those two boards are the same cost to produce, but this one looks better and is a stronger sell, easier sell, I should say. And so consumers want it. Select is somewhere in the middle between Enhance and Transcend. Transcend's got a single source polymer that is extraordinarily unique and gives it the unique durability. And Signature has a wear layer that took us about 5 or 6 years to develop. We were really just going after durability. This is the only board that we have that will pass the jerk face key test. So that is when you hand somebody a board, they take their keys out and they try to scratch it. This is the only board that stands that. It's really durable in addition to being laminated. So yeah, again, Trex Select 2 colors. We'll just go through this. Trex Select is in 2 colors. We dropped 3 other colors from Earth Tone. So sorry, 3 here and 2 there. So 5 total colors going into this season. So you can see the middle of the category, the monochromatics, is kind of light on, right? We got you covered, at the low end at 250. We got you covered all the way up to the 850 at Signature and everything in between. But right in here, we're just a little bit light. So if you could guess what we're working on right now, you probably know that we're trying to bolster the middle of the category. So Signature was a very un-Trex-like maneuver on our part. We beta tested it last year, so we just put it in a few key select markets just to see how it would do. There was a couple things that we were trying to test. So the first thing is we'd never been at 850 before. We didn't know how consumers were going to respond to 850. They responded extremely well. Is it ever going to be your top linear foot seller? No, right? But you would be shocked. There is a 3,000 square foot job we just sold in Miami, and it's a home. There's a couple large commercial jobs that we're bidding for this right now. People that want to not just keep up with the Joneses, but surpass the Joneses and make them really jealous are going to go for the best and brightest and newest and shiniest. And Signature fits that bill. It's a beautiful deck board when it's down. It has a very Ipe-like look to it when it's down. And it's priced like Ipe. There already are hardwoods out there that are priced in this category. But the sales that we got directly from Signature and the response that we've gotten this year, the demand, I should say, that we've received this year from this product line going nationwide, those aren't really telling the whole story. The best part about Signature is it sells Transcend. So most people, when you go to a category, if you go buy a car or you go buy a TV or whatever, do you run to the most expensive thing and just go buy the most expensive thing? How do you shop? They're gonna buy a TV. TVs are probably the best.
Best value.
Right. And so that typically leads most people to go high end, low end, what's in the meaty middle, right? Like what's that product line that's going to give me the most bang for my buck? And that's rarely the most expensive. Well, when the top of your product category is $6, right? The meaty middle might be that mid-range of the weekend, that 450. But when you go to 850, all of a sudden Transcend doesn't look so crazy at $6 a foot, right? It starts to kind of make a little bit more sense. The sales lift that we saw and then in the markets that we tested, the Signature on Transcend was very encouraging. Some of them were double-digit lifts year over year. So we're excited about this product line kind of changing the mindset of the consumer as they start to shop from the low end to the high end. Any questions on decking?
On that piece right there, I mean, I know everything gets hot here in Texas.
Mhm.
I mean, is it gonna be super hot as well? Or
Yeah.
is that gonna work?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's something I really didn't talk a lot about with the expectations of performance and everything. I kind of skipped over. Signature will get hot. Signature does not have any IR reflectance in it. Okay. Currently, the only product line that we have that has IR reflectance in it is the Lineage product line. But I want to talk a little bit about IR reflectance, heat retention, and all that. What do you think the number one determinant of board temperature is, independent of fire reflectance, but what's the number one determinant of board temperature when you're selecting a board?
Walk through, put on.
Well, I mean, that's the
Color.
result, but when you're trying to buy a cooling board, if you were gonna pick the coolest board, colors, right? You get into a black car, with a black interior on a hot Texas summer day versus a white car with a white interior. What's the difference? I mean, there's gonna be a difference, right?
Yeah.
And that's all controlled by color. So I'm gonna talk about our reflectance, but before I do that, the trick question I give everybody at Trex U is, what's our coolest shell stock? And I say it that way on purpose. Our white universal fascia is our coolest shell stock, and we use an ASTM standardized test to measure it. It's not just a heat gun or the chicken warming lamp or whatever. We have a real test with a real piece of test equipment. So again, when you're starting off with somebody who wants is worried about heat, you're in an area with a lot of docks, people walk barefoot a lot. We start with Parnell and Rainier. You start with Rope Swing and Foggy Dwarf. You start with the lightest colors and then go from there. Now, when we talk about IR reflectance, they have about 35% of the energy from the sun is infrared, and they block a majority of that infrared energy. So they do make a significant difference. But if you look at what our competition does with the marketing and advertising of this, they'll say 30 degrees or 35%, or I might have gotten those backwards. Doesn't matter. They give you these outlandish claims on heat reduction. It doesn't work that way unless you take Carmel with IR in it and you compare it to lava rock without. That's the only way you're going to get to 35 degrees. So the best test is get your dealers to put outside displays. If they can't do that, just set Rainier and Foggy Dwarf are very close proximity to each other. Biscayne and Rocky Harbor are very close in proximity to each other color-wise. Put those two light colors down, and then for an hour in the summer is all it take here, and put your hands on it to see if you tell the difference. And I promise you will. So they do make a difference. The expectation as a consumer for decking has gone from not falling apart to fade, stain, scratch to it needs to stay cool when it's hot outside. But the reason we say barefoot friendly, we don't say barefoot friendly, or you can walk on, because sometimes you can't. If it's 110 degrees here, you don't walk on white sand barefoot, right?
Go to the beach in August, right?
Yeah, there's just no way to promise that you can walk in Phoenix in the middle of summer and walk on these colors. But they are noticeably, for their color tone, noticeably cooler. Thank you for asking the question. Any other questions? Anything you've heard from competition that you like don't know if it's true or not, or want me to dial into, or oops. So this is an application that, again, I talked about the demand spike that enhanced cost. That we didn't talk a lot about because we were sort of oversold on just selling decks, right? But this is an application that you really have to watch out for, especially in markets like Dallas and Austin. There's a lot of remodeling going on in light commercial using deck board type products in a cladding application. And it's a super easy sell for us because we don't really spec anything except the deck board and how it's fastened to the furring strips. Everything else is on the builder, is on the inspector, it's on the person who's commissioned the project. So essentially, all we're doing here is we're taking square edge 1 inch solid boards, so transcend, and we're fastening every 24 inches on center onto a furring strip, and then they're picking the weather membrane or whatever behind that keeps the structure from getting wet. These jobs are stupid volume. So if you ever do get to go to Trex U, or you see pictures of our new corporate office, there's just little sections of cladding that we put up vertically. Just those little sections on that building, which isn't a massive building, was like 4.5 trucks of material. It's crazy because it's like putting decks sideways on structures. So I know Panda Express, Target, a lot of retailers are going through remodels. So just ear to the ground. If we hear an opportunity, the one other thing is that this material is typically less expensive than other synthetic cladding materials. So while it may seem expensive to put a deck board on the side of the structure, it's actually a lot cheaper than the alternatives that they're probably considering. So anyway, it's just an opportunity not to walk past, and it's one that you don't have to get super involved in the technical side of, right? Anything on decking? Maybe we can come back to it, but anything else on decking before I go railing? Okay. So I want to talk about first what we were doing coming into this year, and how we're going to check all these boxes, and what we're doing moving forward to hit the ones that we didn't check. But I do want to point out this number right here. We view railing in the residential and light commercial space. We view this number at about $3.3 billion, right? It's a massive, massive market. The problem with railing is it's super fragmented. I learned today of markets in Texas where people will hand weld tubular steel panels and hand spray paint them on job sites. My brain started to ooze out of my ear thinking about even doing that, right? Because it's just so much labor that's it can't look good, and I don't know how they're getting the paint to stick for a long time. So it's just fragmented, barriers to entry or lower. So we have we estimate through Principia that we have 45% residential market share in Wells Midland. In this overall non-wood railing market, we have about 7%, and we're the industry leader. So that gives you some idea of how fragmented it is. So Trex Classic, Trex Select Classic was our first sort of go with PVC. It's just a 2x4 profile, Model T, any color you want as long as it's white with black balusters. Very simple to install though. It's simple to pick, it's simple to install. White with black balusters goes with almost everything. Last year and moving forward, we are going full span. We're going 72 and 96, no more on-center railings, which basically 72 and 96 is inside post, inside post. On center would be center of post to center of post, which is about 3.5 inches shorter. So we had a lot of dissatisfied consumers who were doing reskins and everything was full span and our product couldn't reach. So we changed that this year, but that's our first attempt. Our next attempt started last year, and that's T-rail. So this is a common classic profile you see with vinyl rail. Again, this is us going after vinyl. We do offer white composite balusters as well as black round balusters. So there's really, when you look at the material performance characteristics of composite versus vinyl, and then you realize that the price point's almost exactly the same, there's no reason to ever install vinyl rail again. This should kill vinyl rail once and for good. We just need to get the market to start accepting it and start to get it moving. But it's a really, really nice product because it gives you, again, all the material benefits with the same look that people are used to. This is also full span. Everything else that we're launching moving forward is going to be full span. And even the 200 whatever SKUs that we had to redo to relaunch Transcend last year, we went full span with Transcend. Transcend is our largest product line. It's that product line that won't die. It's a classic bread loaf shape. It comes in a lot of different colors. It's got multiple infills that you can put in it. It's curvable. It's a solid, easy to install system that a lot of contractors prefer. It's a premium composite, so the retails are, again, in the $45 to $55 range, but it just continues to chug along. I'm just waiting for it to start coming down the other side so we can harvest it and it just won't die. Just living. This is where we prop the top. So Trex Signature, we rebranded it several years ago so that it kind of matched up with the laminated board. Obviously, we thought we were going to launch this before we did, but it is what it is. So we have complete kits. Those are breakdown kits that come, completely broken down in a box. And then we also offer assembled panels. So with the assembled panels, we will mount the brackets to the post for the contractor, which dramatically saves time. During COVID, another product manager and I were trying to figure out ways to add value because we couldn't get out in the field and do things. We did a time-lapse study where I did all the work and he did all the talking. And they time-lapsed me building mounting the brackets and building a complete kit, broken down complete kit, versus taking post and pre-mounted brackets and dropping a panel in. 17 minutes on the kit, 6 minutes on the panel with pre-mounted brackets. So the time savings are ridiculous for the contractor. Now, I think here the labor market might be able of hearing it's a little bit different. Like you don't have as much trouble finding people to work. In the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and the Central, we have a lot of trouble with labor. Finding enough people to help the contractors. Glass is it's a 2-color offering. It's 2 SKUs. It's kind of a mid-tier glass system. We have a premium one. I'll show you in a couple slides. This is a stainless steel mesh system. So it's a unique system. It can fit in both contemporary and rural installations. The benefit here is this is a 316 stainless steel mesh. So you can put this right on the coast. It's aluminum. Aluminum doesn't rust. It's a great product for those coastal applications, those lake house applications. And it's a unique look. You talk about keeping up with the Jones, the stainless steel mesh system is different. Rod rail was the first of these 3 on the right that we launched, and we thought it was going to replace cable. We thought wrong. It did not replace cable, but it started an industry category. So if you Google rod rail, several companies in our space have copied this look because it's shown to be really, really popular. It's a real beefy industrial look. And for whatever reason, when balusters go horizontally, people think they can see through them better. And so and then it's a big one. This is the one we've been working on for about 4 or 5 years. So there's 2 key issues with stainless steel cable rail that we avoided up until we could come up with solutions. One is most contractors cheat when they install a la carte cable systems. They're told they can only go make one turn and go 40 feet. Well, they'll make 3 turns and go 60, right? And the reason why those restrictions are put in place by the cable manufacturers is it's impossible to maintain the tension if you make too many curves and you go too long because the cable stretches. And we're worried about droopy cables and toddlers, somebody falling through a guardrail system. So we want to solve the tension problem. The other problem is skews. So, you could go to any a la carte catalog, any a la carte cable manufacturer's catalog, and identify somewhere in the ballpark of 70 to 100 SKUs in their program. We just didn't want to do that, and we didn't really know how to add value in that space. So this full program, if you stock 36 and 42 inch, all rail kit sizes, all posts, 11 total SKUs. So it's extremely easy to take off. It's extremely easy to stock and sell, and it just makes a lot of sense. But the reason we call it X series, I'm going to start with a post, is because the inside channel of this modular post is shaped like an X. And so all of this part right here, this cover right here, these are all separate pieces that just slide up and down this main spine. So this one SKU, this one post SKU can be a line post, an end post, a line post, or a corner post, just based on where you put the cables and the structural coverage and all that. So again, that's one way we made it very SKU efficient. So this is the X series post I just showed you. We have obviously our cable and hardware assemblies, our intermediate picket, and then this mid-span post. This mid-span post is the secret to keeping the SKUs down. We included in the kits. I'll talk about that in just a second. And these top rails, when you see, I'm gonna tell you guys, we sell an 18-foot kit. It's not 18 feet long. We need a forklift to lift it. It's 3 6-foot top rails. They connect here in the middle to the mid-span post. So just some really, really creative ideas. This is how we manage the tension problem, right? So first of all, we're limiting our runs to 18 feet. You can't go any further than 18 feet. So that's going to help. And then we added this unique ball deflector with a special T-swage that we designed. And that takes about 1/4 inch of travel, which doesn't sound like a ton, but over 18 feet, 1/4 inch of tension is a lot of insurance for the frame settling and things moving around, cable stretching, whatever it might be. So that spring at the end is really critical. The other nice thing about this is it's swageless, which means that when you want to cut your cable, you bring your cable to a pre-marked line here, you cut it, and then you just insert it into this swage fitting, and it sort of grabs it like those finger traps you get at the fair. The harder you pull, the harder it grabs. And that's really, really easy. The only tool you need to install this that isn't included in the kits is a cable cutter. And those are about $50. So there's no swaging. And then to tighten it, there's a glass-filled nylon tool that we include in the kits. You put one on this end, you put one on the flats here, and you just turn it clockwise. Homeowners can tighten their own cable in a couple seconds. It's very, very simple and very easy, and the tools are included in the kits. Here's how we make it, here's kind of the wrap up here and how we make it SKU efficient. So basically, when I say a complete kit, I mean everything in between the posts. So the rail, the brackets, the structural covers that hold the cables, all the cable hardware, the intermediate picket, all of it comes in the kit. So we sell a 6-foot kit, a 12-foot kit, and an 18-foot kit. Yes, we are selling posts inside the kit. So these mid-span posts come in the box. So that's how we get so few SKUs. We also, for the first time ever, we include stainless steel hardware to mount the posts to the deck in all of our kits. So there's not even extra hardware to buy. I got embarrassed the guy at Trex U. So I went through this, and I have a deeper presentation at Trex U where we do some takeoffs and show how easy it is. And he raised his hand at the end of it, and he said, "Are you going to do a takeoff service?" And I said, "If you need a takeoff service for an 11C program, maybe you shouldn't sell real." It's that easy. It's that easy. It was not a great thing to say, but I apologize to him later. But it's really, really simple. And now, cost-wise, when you are doing a layout or a takeoff for somebody, if you get the opportunity to do that, you want to make sure you get as many 18-foot runs as possible. Okay, and I'll explain why. Anytime you hear me talk about per linear foot cost in railing, we always talk post section. Because if I'm going to go buy regular picket rail, whatever, post section, post section, post section, post section, post, right? So I don't count post section post when I'm doing linear feet because that's overburdening the linear foot because that last post is absorbed by however many sections came before it. Does that make sense? So when we're doing this, post section, right? So this post is $400 at retail. It's a very expensive area. It weighs about 50 pounds. It's a really beefy post. But when you divide it by 18, it's like 22 or something like that, something a lot lower. So this 18-foot section per linear foot cost is somewhere in the $120 range. This 12 is the $150, and this is about $180, $190. Okay, so you want to minimize the number of 6-foot sections that you've got because you want to spread the cost of those posts over as many linear feet as you get. Not telling the contractor to design the deck around the rail, but if you can make it in increments of 6, you're definitely maximizing. That makes sense? Any questions on cable? I'm going way too fast, I'm sorry. The strain on my back is. So this is the first spinoff. So the nice thing I didn't really mention about the X series post being modular is we could do all kinds of things with this. We could do shade structures. We could do privacy screens. There's a bunch of different ideas that we haven't really fleshed out yet. But the first one we're gonna go with is gonna be a frameless glass rail. We say frameless, we need no top and bottom rail. It's just a piece of glass. Now we code test everything. Trex doesn't sell anything that isn't code listed because we're publicly traded. Safety's critical, right? That's critical even if you're not, but you get my point. When we go to test a glass system with no top rail, the ASTM standard applies a 4x safety factor to the baseline ICC code, right? So say if it's 200, right? You have to go to 800 pounds with this piece of glass. If you're testing a regular, picket rail that's got a top rail or anything that's got a top rail, it's 2.5x. So not only do you not have a top rail to support the glass, but you're being held to 4x safety factor. So because of that, this has to be half-inch laminated, and we specify the laminate in the middle. Okay. The best place to get this glass is trex.glass.com. It's a licensed partner of ours. We do not get a lot of revenue from it, but they are importing these panels, and they can cut them to length for you. And if you buy it from us, you're going to be in the $180 per linear foot range. If you source it locally, it could be much more expensive. So again, you guys have lake, areas and places that have a lot of money. This is the kind of product that we pop this up with. Also, just to round it out, I don't think ADA is a big thing here, but just so you know, you probably haven't even been told about it, but we do offer an ADA system that works with all of our rail systems. It is made from aluminum, so the brackets are cast zinc, the tubes and all the returns and everything are made from tubular aluminum. It's powder coated to the same black, white, and bronze that all of our balusters and aluminum products are powder coated to. And then for gates, composite gates suck. They're hard to install. They sag. You need cross members that look ugly. So we just sell aluminum gates that sort of go across the board with everything. Right? We sell it all 3 colors, round and square, and that sort of ties in with the balusters. So we do offer gates, and they're adjustable. You can cut it down to whatever. Okay. That's where we went going into this year. Where are we going moving forward? Some of this stuff will hopefully be exciting because some of this stuff is, I think, a direct hit for your markets. The first is aluminum. So we play really well at this $65 level, not so great at $35 level. There's products like RDI Avalon out there that take our lunch money because it's a good product at a $35 price point. Is it as beefy as Signature? No, but some clients don't care. They just want aluminum and they want to get it at a price point, right? So that's one thing we're working on. Steel is, that 35 probably shifted up a little bit. I think there's been increases in duties on steel, but we're probably more like 35, 45. We don't play here at all. We don't have any steel rail at all. In fact, everything we sell is aluminum composite because it's corrosion resistant. And then PT wood. I'm going to talk about how we're going to address PT wood without really addressing PT wood. So the first one is steel railing. This is almost a commodity. So there's products out there like Fortress and RDI Excalibur that have been entrenched in the market over the years. We have tried to figure out ways to crack that egg without going overseas. If you can't beat them, join them. So we are going overseas. We are importing these steel panels just like they are. We're going to have a very similar price point, very similar warranty, very similar, features and benefits package. But it's an unaddressed market for us. So we can either continue to, beat our heads against the wall and try to do the impossible, or we can just go ahead and launch it. So September is not going to happen. I should have changed the slide. We're probably looking at October, November, but we're racing to get this ready for early buy. So you have a little bit of time for early buy hits so you can see this. But when you're in arid markets and you're not up against high salinity, environments like saltwater, this is a great product because steel is stronger than aluminum. So your top rails and your balusters can be smaller. You can see through it easier. A lot of people like to put a deck board over the top of steel. It's a really popular product, and you can beef it up. You can use composite post sleeves, or you can use smaller aluminum posts. We're also working on a 4x4 sleeve made out of aluminum, so you get a beefier metal post look. So anyway, should be an attractive product for a lot of the Texas markets, I think, based on price point performance. This is also a really exciting product. The biggest concern we have about this is how much is it going to cannibalize Signature. So this is an aluminum product that's using stainless steel screws, so it's fine to use in areas where, against saltwater. It's basically a square profile with a bevel top edge. It's a very simple looking profile. It's a very simple design, but it gives you all the benefits of aluminum at about $35 to $40 price point. We think we're still working on that, finalizing that. So this one's a little later. This is probably December, January, just because aluminum systems are a little more complicated. There'll be swivel brackets and other things with this one that steel doesn't have. But this has generated the most buzz in the building. People have shown it to. It's got a lot of potential. And then last but not least, carbon steel panels. So Wild Hog is a product most people have probably heard of. They basically sell these commodity large steel panel sizes that you cut down to use in wood rail, right? So we're going to do this a little differently. We're going to have special size panels that are going to go into an integrated composite rail system. So we're going to take Select, Select's kind of more of a 2x4 profile, and one sits flat and one sits vertical. These tracks are going to hold the mesh. And we'll have special brackets that are going to let the tracks come together. So instead of just throwing tracks and hog tusks out and mesh panels out and saying, figure it out on your own contractor, we're going to give you an integrated solution. Then, oh, by the way, we're going to sell the tracks and stuff separate too. And if you want to put it in wood, we're not going to market it that way, but we know what people are going to do. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, getting us into this sub $25 price point. If you are okay with performance PT wood and you want something that looks unique, we're going to have both about a $50 composite system and a system that you can put in. So. Yeah, but for the right after lunch, we should have passed out Red Bulls. So this slide is really just to kind of explain what the heck we're doing, why I'm about to show you what I'm about to show you here. 2021, we hit $1 billion. And 2020, we could see it coming. We knew we were going to get close. Within a couple of days of our celebration of hitting $1 billion, the president of the company challenged us to come up with a plan to get to $2 billion in 5 to 7 years. So we have been working diligently in that. And what we knew even before we got to that threshold was there's adjacent categories where we're just letting revenue go by the wayside. We're not even operating in those spaces. And so in order to get where we want to go, we've got to start turning rocks over. This category I'm about to talk about, we were shocked by how much revenue we were able to identify that's out there for this product line. So this is the adjacency side of what we're doing. And there's more, but this is the first one and probably one of the biggest opportunities. So we partnered on this project with somebody who knows how to import. They know how to design fasteners. They know how to test fasteners. They're very high end. They do aerospace and a lot of automotive fasteners. They also are they own Rentham Tool, which is the largest header tool manufacturer in North America. So they're really steeped in the industry, but they don't sell anything through the consumer channel. So they're not ever going to be a competitor. The company is Phillips Screw Company, and they brought with them the Hextix drive system technology, which is our existing patent. And we've applied for 4 others. The counterbore, actually, we recently granted a patent on that. The deck setters and then the plugs have 2 patents applied for them. Very unlike Trex. We don't normally patent things. Anybody have any guesses why we don't patent our shell stock formulation? Anybody ever been bored enough to read a patent? Well, I think how many millions and millions of linear feet of decking we run. We can easily justify that. 50 grand to get a patent. You've ever read a patent? They're hard to say. Well, they expire, right? First of all, they expire. We want to do business longer than 17 years or whatever. They list out every single claim, every single constituent of material. So if we patented our shell stock, all of our fillers, all of our key ingredients, everything would have to be laid out in perfect formula, right? We're so paranoid about our shell stock formula getting out that we circulate through different suppliers in different amounts, so they don't know exactly what we're ordering. They can't figure it out based on what we're buying from them for raw materials. So with that product line, it makes sense to treat it like Coca-Cola treats their formula. It's a trade secret. But with this product line, patents for whatever reason are a lot more common, and so we've kind of gone after protecting the intellectual property. But the key is what we didn't do is we knew we couldn't go out to one of the big 2 and say, hey, give us a system, slap Trex's name on it, mark it up 30%, and we'll say we're doing something, right? We knew so we started this project in February of 2020. That's when the letter of intent was signed with Phillips. And it took us, this is about 3 years of my life you're seeing on the screen right here. So the backbone of the program is the screw. I worked at Prime Source Building Products for about 9.5 years before I came here. I thought I knew how screws were developed. I had no clue. The way that we, at least today, the way we do it today is, especially for a specialty screw, is you draw it up in CAD, you send the drawings over to a manufacturer, and they'll 3D print out of metal a screw, which I didn't know you could 3D print metal. We'll get about 5 of them, costs about $5,000. You get about 3 or 4, about $1,000 a piece, 900 to $1,000 a piece. You get about 3 or 4 dries before that fastener starts to break down. That metal starts to break down. So you better figure out your mushrooming and your dry performance and all that pretty quick. Once you get a design that you like, it's about $50,000 and 6 months to get the tooling on order and get the 2 or 5,000 samples or whatever, so you can kind of do more scaled up testing. We went through that process 3 times. It took us $150,000 and about 2 years to develop the screw that we felt was the perfect screw. And when we say perfect screw, what are the things that define a perfect screw? Dry speed and efficiency and mushrooming are the 2 biggest. Most of the competitive manufacturers that we measure are about 4 to 6 thousandths mushrooming. That's just the volcano effect that you get when you dry one of these. We're at 6-10 thousandths. You can't perceive any mushroom when you drive these screws, and we knew we had to nail that. And then we did a lot of work on the coatings and to make sure it didn't rust and it didn't fade and things like that. But when you're driving one of these screws, let me nerd out for just a second. Placate me. When you're driving one of these screws in a wood plastic composite, you want the waste material to go out that way, because wood plastic composite is very, very dense. Softwoods like that, you can drive it through, screw through it, and the grain will just kind of move out of the way. That didn't happen with wood plastic composite. It'll split. And so the first thing that we realized was the tip had to kind of bore shell stock out of the way. That's part of the mushrooming performance. This slot cut's like a shovel that gets it started up this bottom 2/3, which this part of the screw is tri-lobe. So if you look down the end of the screw, it's not a circle, it's more like a rounded off triangle. That does 2 things. 1, it gives the material room to go that direction. And 2, it reduces drive torque and makes it easier and faster to drive. And then the last part are these really pretty common industry standard threads that kind of finish the job with the material. So I know that's more than you ever want to know about a screw. But what I'm trying to say is
It's awesome. That's awesome.
it's so awesome. Yeah.
I want to hear more about it. It's crazy. That's awesome.
It's a lot of thought went into things that you might think, oh, they just went overseas and bought a screw from somebody. No, we designed it from the ground up. So this exciting video of this gentleman driving a color match screw is really just to focus on the fact that the whole Trex, Trex thing, the epoxy manufacturers that make the coatings they put on the screws, they pushed us real hard to pick from the catalog and say green or grain number 12 is perfect for this color. And we wouldn't let them do that. We made little plaques of our shell stocks. We sent that over and fought with them for about 6 months over how we were going to achieve this. And we like perfectly color matched our shell stocks, right? We're not trying to put Fastmaster and Starburn out of business. There's a world where we coexist. We're 45% of the market. We just want our volume, right? When we put a Trex board down, we want a Trex screw to go into it. And that's the whole marketing plan here. And that's why we did what we did. So you're not going to see these massive cross references where we show every single other manufacturer and what our color's going to be. The other thing that we had to do is we had to innovate in the plug category. So when we went to try to figure out how we were going to make plugs, we tried to understand how we think the competition makes plugs. And what we think they do is they buy it at the end of 2 steps of distribution. They plane it down to the thickness of a plug, and then they have some sort of a punch tool that gang punches all the plugs out at one time. One company puts collation under that and captures and collates the plug, and another company just packages them loose. That's wasteful. We have to make the board. We ship it through, you truck it through 2 steps of distribution. They buy it, they weigh 7/8 of it. They have to operate machinery to make the plug, and then they've got to package it and send it out, right? There had to have been a better way. So when you put a plug in, what do you care about? What's a plug do? It covers the screw. It disappears, right? All you care about is that top part, right? You care what's underneath the top part if it performs. So we knew that we understood pigments, we understood rheology, we understood milk flow index, we understood a lot of different aspects of how to make something look aesthetically on the top side right. And we have really good, strong bench and partners in the injection molded world. So we started experimenting with injection molding on our shell stock. Now, for layman's terms, we're injection molding our shell stock. In the real world, it took us about 1.5 years to get a formulation that worked in injection molding and gave us the results that we wanted. But we got there, and it's a much, much more efficient. We're basically making these like you would make a model airplane, right? It's the same exact thing. The little sprue is what carries the plastic out to the plug. It just shears right off in a second. So So that innovation was critical. The other challenge that we faced was how do we make an embossing pattern? So if this was a competitor board and you guys brought this to me and you say, I want you to make this exact same shell stock, give us about 6 months, we could get really close. You know, we could get really close, or if you held two pieces like this, you might not be able to tell the difference, but if you put them together outside, there's art to embossing. And I've learned this over the years in developing lineage. We went through 9 embossing rolls to get to where we are today. There's art to embossing. It's impossible to copy somebody. So we knew this was going to be a challenge, and we were racking our brains and we were trying to make them artificially, and they weren't working. And some genius in R&D had a great idea. He said, why don't we just cut up an embossing roll? So we just took one of our production embossing rolls, we cut it into little strips, and the top of the injection mold is basically, so in other words, the same embossing roll that puts this print on this Biscayne board is making this embossing print on the top of the plugs. So again, the 2 patents we got applied for, the process and that what we understand, with pigments and all of that, the embossing, it's going to be really tough for the competition to copy us on this, even if the patents don't go through. So you see here, our depth setters have a rubber tip instead of a felt tip. It's just higher performance, and the plugs are spaced out so you can kind of see and pick your plug. And then that little flag that you see after you tap it in place, that flag just rubs right off, and that blends in really, really well. We actually have better control on plugs than two-teching. That's happening because injection mold process. So for an
Steve, we'll put, I'm sorry, you want to touch on how we injection mold them, we'll get different shades when they're applying the plug. That's a big thing that some of the competition does, correct?
Yeah, so the competition. So go back to buying it through 2 steps of distribution, and you're planing 7/8 of the board off and punching it. Let's just say the competition bought a unit of Foggy Wharf that was out of spec max light. I'm not saying we do that often, but it's possible, right? We can make an out of spec max light unit, and they don't know what they're getting, and they don't have the color boundaries, and so they just make plugs out of it. Well, if you're punching plugs in a cluster as tight as the Cortex system is collated, that's a bajillion plugs, not the official number, but that's a lot of plugs, right? And they're all going to be past max light, max start. So our system, the way we're doing this is that there's sprues are basically the channels. So the sprue, basically there's 4 of these and a plus sign. And the molten plastic comes in this direction, and it fills up all of these little cavities. So anywhere you see, a plug, that's obviously a hole that it's filled up in. So it's in a plus sign. There's 4 of them. We have a robot that pulls the 4 off and puts them into 4 separate bags, right? So let's just say one shot's a little dark because a couple extra streaker pellets got in there, right? Those all go into separate bags. Next shot's a little light. Those all 4 go into separate bags. So the idea is when you pull it out, you've got a mixture of slightly different colors, hopefully all within target, but slightly different colors to match that. If I wanted to go in right here on this board where it's dark, it's going to be a little, different plug than if I go right here where it's really light, right, where you're putting the plug. And you would be surprised. Contractors are that picky about what color plug they're putting in what spot. But yeah, we do, thank you. We do try to mix it up as much as possible. Putting a plug system in a scallop board is especially challenging because if you don't put the regular composite style screw like this, if you don't put it in the thick part of the board and you put it in the thin part of the board because you're overdriving it, you get about an eighth inch of material underneath the head this size. If you were to, well, we've done this, when we put down a 4 or 6 foot board on a little display like that, and we put it all in the thin part with a plug, depth setter, you can literally grab the end of the board and you just lift the board off the deck. Okay. So typically you put plug systems in square edge boards. Where on a deck do you use square edge boards? The picture frames, right? The borders. Where else do you use square edge boards? Stairs. Stairs. Where can you least afford a trip and fall? Stairs and board picture frames, right? Falling off decks is really bad. So because of that reason, we don't approve the other 2 systems that are out there because they have a locator device that you put over the board that if you drill it, if you do it properly, you'll pre-drill into the thick part, you'll drive your screw into the thick part and everything will perform. But I've talked to dozens of contractors. I have yet to find one raise their hand and say, yes, I take the locator lid off, I put it over the board, I pre-drill, I take the locator lid off, I drive my screw to the depth setter, and then I put my plugs in. They just grab their screw in their depth setter and they guess and they hope they hit the thick part of the board, right? So we knew when we designed our system, it had to be dummy proof. There was no way that you could install it wrong. So what we're doing is we're taking a lot of our fascia components. So we took a fascia style head and we made a longer screw. And then we're taking our fascia counterboard. The fascia counterboard drills this countersunk hole. And it leaves a little bit more meat there. And then we have a wider headed screw that's going into that thin part of the board. So you can literally anywhere on this board, you counterbore and you drill and you drive your screw, you're good to go. It can be the thin part, thick part, halfway in between, doesn't matter. You literally cannot install it wrong. You're going to make a massive mess of it, right? So then you just drive your screw with your depth setter and then you plug in behind it. So here you're going to see the counterboard, how it works and why it's patented. So when this rubber O-ring hits the decking material, it stops and then the wing keeps spinning. That ejects material out of the back and keeps you from scratching your decking surface. The Starborn tools especially die about that. And then here you just see the enhanced labeled depth setter, drives it in, and the spacing on the coalition here, you can actually get a 16-ounce hammer in between the coalition and not hit the plug next to it, which you can't do that with other systems. So it just makes it a lot easier to get it started and get it placed. Okay. So the downside, the negative you're going to get from other systems when you're comparing them is our plugs are bigger. They're more visible because they're bigger. That's totally understandable. That's right. You're kind of trading something for safety. But guess what? We have full boards that take smaller plugs. So if you want to go to a smaller plug, go up and, price tier and buy a better board. I think that for the contractor, the benefit of being able to place the screws wherever they want the screw is going to far outweigh the size of the plug and the knowledge they're not going to get pop bores and it's going to be safe. The fascia systems, the thing that you're going to notice, and I want to point out, this counterboard tool drills a hole that's bigger than the shank of the fastener. And the shank of the fastener has no threads in the last quarter of it. These are floating systems. So with the hole being bigger than the actual fastener, the fascia is allowed to expand and contract with temperature, and the wood can actually moisture cycle. They don't fight each other. It doesn't stress the fastener as much, and you get a better performing fascia installation. So you'll see the counterboard tool do its job. It makes a slightly bigger hole. These screws are a little shorter, they're 1.75 inches. And you can see that the shank is smaller than the actual hole. And then when we're driving them just flush. We're not sucking it tight. So again, it's a floating system. And so that's the principle behind all fascia systems that are on the market today. And here's the plug-based system. First to market, collated plug for fascia. Contractors are going to love that because it really stinks hitting your thumb trying to hold one of these non-tapered plugs up. We've already gotten great feedback from contractors on this system. There you go. Any questions on this? I just kind of wanted to, we can get into, pack sizes and how we sell and all that stuff. I just wanted to expose you guys to what the program is.
I don't know if you're working with her. Wendy is working on it. You don't have it on the ground yet. You only have a fastening standpoint, the little universal clips. Anytime now, pretty soon we'll be pulling the trigger and you folks will be in this business. Yes. So my lead in with this is it's never going to make anyone's year, right? We're not going to, make bonus selling butt joint clips, but having 1-800-BUY-TREX be so close to us, we understand and we get verbal feedback of what problems and failures people are seeing out there. Fascia and butt joints are the two biggest drivers of claims. The problem with butt joints is that the right way to do this without this clip, if you didn't have this clip, the right way to do it is to sister in another 2x. So you got two 2x sandwiched, and then you're going to use two clips, one on each side of each board, and kind of fasten the boards independently of each other. That gives you room to gap. Because what a lot of contractors do is they try to split this joist with one regular clip. And so you can't really gap it because the wing isn't very big, right? So you want to make sure the wing holds it. So you got it way too close together, then they ride up together when they expand. And that riding up creates all sorts of visual and structural problems. So what this clip does is it allows the contractor to more efficiently and easily install a butt joint without failure. So it's got a longer, wider wing for more holding power. And then it's got these two shoulders on either side, which are about 1/2 inch to 3/8. Because dimensional numbers so variable, but 1/2 inch to 3/8 of extra room. So if the board slides one way or the other, it's supported. And there's only 2 screws, and it's less cost of materials. So it's faster, less cost of materials, fewer callbacks, easier to install properly. Just all around, it's been really well received. So well received that our pack of 14. So we'll sell 14 of them in a tub like this.
our pack of 14 is clearly not enough. Contractors are asking for a bigger pack. So we're going to be, for early by next year, launching the big bucket. It's gonna have 90 in them. And we're installing equipment, so today, the way they come is you get your screws in one bag and you get your clip here. If you have about a box of 90, that's ridiculous to preload all of them. So we're putting equipment in that they're gonna come preloaded in the future, so.
This clips also, real quick, guys, our clips are not plastic, they're glass filled nylon, so I get that question a lot. They're very durable. In fact, it's not uncommon to see our clips used with competitive products.
No, 100%. So the term attachment rate, right? How many clips do we sell down to linear feet and grooves? Our attachment rate some years is over 100%. And I know people use camo clips and TCG clips on our boards. So we're very much being used. It's universal. We call it universal for a reason. So it works with everybody's stuff. So. Any questions? Well, I went through all this. I won't belabor it. My chart, this is what we've got going on right now. It's one of the most hyperactive launch cycles that I've ever seen in the 13 years I've been in Trex. It's exciting. You know, we're getting into new categories, new price points. And honestly, I believe that a lot of the new categories and price points are going to help you all. I think they're going to be really, really well targeted for your market and give you, arrows in your quiver to go in business. So anything else on product? Any other questions?
Are you gonna cover 2x?
Not really. We have one here. What specific questions do you have on 2x?
What's the market for it? I have
Small.
people ask,
It's
I have
small.
people ask for it, but I'm not sure exactly what the application is.
Yeah, so, 2x only comes in square. So if you want to use hidden fasteners, we have a router bit that you can pop the edges. A lot of docks like 2x6. Hawaii, they build decks only out of 2x6, and I think that's just the norms from wood or carrying over to wood plastic composite. 2x4 is used a lot of times as a top rail, you're right. 2x4s are used a lot of times as a top cap for, call it traditional rail, but like a cocktail rail type look.
I can tell you the Texas market, I probably move more than anybody in Texas, but it's primarily along the coast, as you're speaking to. A lot of commercial boardwalks and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting requests for it.
And Robert, it's on the select 2x6, not the transcend primarily for you.
Correct.
Yeah, so, because obviously the cost goes up. People are buying it for the greater span and they want the 2x profile. They're not necessarily, we have a 2x6 transcend, but that hits a sweet price point versus a transcend one. So if you're going to get into that business and stock something, the one you're holding, double gray, number one lineal foot seller for us for a very long time, that color. So if you're going
This
to
is
get
transcend.
that's select. But we have a transcend if somebody wanted premium family 2x6 quality.
And you're selling like 20 footers?
16 and 20s, right? Yeah, okay, just making sure.
Yeah, we see a lot of that with, nature areas, bird walk, stuff over, saltwater application type things.
Like single unit minimum?
Yeah, 32 pieces.
32.
And we don't have that many competitors in that 2x space either.
Correct.
Any of y'all's competitors or our competitors?
Just decking, like someone's like, hey, I need a 2x. There's probably only two other people that we consider our competitors that even have 2x. They don't push it, and it's something we need to push more. It's like a competitive advantage. Oh, I didn't know you have this. So I try to show that sample. You will win a sale that way.
I mean, it's a product, even if you choose not to stock it, we're on a 4-week lead time. So if not quicker, and that's what they.
Typically, when you see a halo with that product, you're gonna see multiple units.
Exactly.
That one order to be large. So I definitely want to mention that.
And I'm glad we touched on commercial projects. There's not a slide for it. That's something that we can absolutely accommodate in terms of, hey, there's some competitive situation out there. Somebody's looking at multiple truckloads and they're looking at any one of our families, aside from basics. We can sharpen the pencil to get more aggressive on it, right? We know that we realize your price pages will reflect truckload unit pieces, but when we have to, we'll get a little down and dirty and aggressive to discount it to try to win it over, right? So those typically start at full truckload quantities. Basics, it's our entry level product. As you can imagine, the profitability for us and you is not there. It's tough for us to discount our entry level product, right? But anything above that, naturals, all the way to our premium, we'll talk about what we need to do to secure a project. And that applies to railing too. We can absolutely get aggressive on any of our railing products from a discount standpoint.
Question. Thank you guys. I'm not going anywhere, so any more questions?
Yeah.
Stephen, could you talk more about, we know nylon glass, but I don't think the average person knows nylon glass. Because, oh, that's plastic, kind of like he was saying. Kind of, what's a little bit more of the features and benefits of our universal clips? And were we the first to market to have a clip? Because I always tell people, we've been around for years, it's tried and true. I don't see any fading on old decks. Kind of where we at in the entry market now that our competitors are caught up with us? And will we ever have a 2.0 clip of that?
So, if we did have a 2.0 clip, I'm really careful what I say here, and I'm being important.
Because the standing up thing, the other clip is
Yeah,
like,
so we basically, something that would increase the installation ease and speed would be the only reason that we would probably change this. Now, I haven't asked for a slightly longer screw for reskins and for really soft treated lumber, which we are considering. But the great thing about this is corrosion resistance. So this is glass filled nylon. It is technically a thermoplastic, but it's a reinforced thermoplastic, so it's structural. And the screws here are 300 series, either 304 or 316 stainless steel. So you can put this on a dock over the ocean and it is not going to rust. And that's one of the best things about these clips. The other thing is they're really easy to install. We have a one-step tool somewhere around here. You know, this tool didn't really go over it in detail because we were gonna do some demo, but we probably gonna run out of time. But this tool allows you to install the clip in one step. In other words, I snap this in, I can fully actuate the clip in the groove of the deck board. The leading edge is up just a little bit, and I can easily slide the deck board in, right? So it speeds up installation, especially for newbies. So this clip has been hugely popular because of those things, and also because it's a stupid good value. When you compare it to Camo, when you compare it to Mantis and other, TCG, it's really a lot of bang for the buck. It's a pretty inexpensive, very Trex-like thing to do, but a pretty inexpensive clip. And we sell hundreds and hundreds of millions of these clips a year, and we sell it in a lot of other people's deck boards for good reason. So whether we were first to market or not, I don't know because it was here when I got here, but we were one of the early. Answer the question?
Yes, thank you. 304, 306.
Yep, 04 with our specs.
Question?
Yeah, no, I just blanked. Oh, do y'all have a video on installation on the website?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have Trex
That's a
Academy.
great question, actually.
Yeah, where we teach a DIYer soup to nuts how to build a deck. Like everything from ledger attachment to framing to how to build stairs to how to put your fascia up, everything soup to nuts.
All separate short videos, 5 to 6 minutes.
And we're starting to go like on our fastener program and on this, we have QR code instructions for a couple different reasons. But if you scan this QR code, you get sent to I think it's a 35-second video where I explain how to use that tool instead of putting a piece of paper in the instructions. And inside of our fastener program that I went through, there's a little instructions QR code sheet that comes in there. We're doing that because if we ever need to make a change to our instructions or, maybe we made a mistake in our print, that's not going to live forever in the box, right? We like to watch, but I don't know if you fix stuff, but I like to watch YouTube videos on how to fix stuff. I learned that way by watching.
Build a house essentially.
Yeah.
I'm an expert on everything.
I just can't believe YouTube is still free.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It's
Oh,
free,
one
but
thing-
there's still a lot of ad revenue, so it's kind of.
Oh yeah.
it's dope.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to mention, because maybe you don't retain everything today, but our YouTube videos are not boring. They're fun. They're sexy. They're short and sweet. Like you can literally learn how to build a deck and really pay attention and stay in tune. So that's one thing I really like about Trex Academy. So I definitely recommend following or subscribing to it on YouTube.
We'll send your marketing team that link so you exactly know where to go to find it. But it's on Trex.com, but we'll show you exactly where.
What's the sexiest video on there?
Anything with
Well,
Corey in it.
So, the joist tape application really blew my mind.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys and gals, I'm gonna jump in real quick with the technical program. Neb probably will jump in with details on this. But before I get into the slides, I want to kind of get into the why and the how of why we have Trex Pros, right? So the why is essentially two things. We create builder pull-through demand at the dealer yards and the retail stores. The second why, which is the most I can't even think of how to say it, with the most value to us, would be they are actually literally the last salesperson when they sit down at the kitchen table with the, potential customer, right? So a contractor sitting at a kitchen table with a potential customer has the capacity to sway them. Most of the time, if a hire a professional come into your home, you're leaning on them for information to guide you down the right path, right? So when we have these guys on board with us, it really brings the whole sales thing full circle. Typically, you've got somebody that knows our product or knows of it, knows composite decking. Just when the Trex Pro gets to their kitchen table, really brings it home for them, right?
This, I don't want to underestimate this, but it's truly the case. I've been with Trex 22 years. One of the single biggest strengths of why we've succeeded and continue to succeed is this contractor network. What are contractors typically really good at? Building, right? They're craftsmen. They're good salespeople, right? In terms of selling people really big, intricate, expensive projects. But what's one of the single biggest weaknesses that most of them have, especially old school? They're not very good marketers, right? They just either they don't have the resources, they don't have the people. They're the marketing department. They're the seller, the owner, the accountant, the marketing department, or maybe somebody that does sit part-time for them, right? This is the value of this program. We now connect our multi-billion-dollar or billion-dollar, multi-decade branded, strong product that most consumers will see, from all of our advertising. And now they're connected to it as a Trex Pro. Instant credibility for a contractor who doesn't have this, marketing team, doesn't have millions of dollars, thousands of dollars to invest in branding and marketing. Now they can say on their business card or their website, I'm a Trex Pro. Instant credibility for a homeowner that's about to drop 50K, 100K. I mean, it's insane what these decks are cost. That homeowner spending that kind of money probably wants to feel really good and confident that the person they're hiring is going to do a good job for that kind of money, right? Then, oh wow, the manufacturer says they're a Trex Pro. I feel good about spending that kind of money with them, right? So when you have that contractor that feels comfortable, is lined up with it, guess what happens? The connection to the dealer. What's the dealer always say? I'll sell that your product. I'll sell whatever my customer wants, right? And then in this case, if we've got you own the contractor, we will try to own the homeowner with all of the millions of dollars we do with advertising, branding, then own the professional, own that contractor so that the dealer says, I'm going to support whatever my customer wants. And then when we have the contractor out there leading with Trex and saying, I'm a Trex Pro, this is the number one brand I support, guess what the dealer's going to easily want to do? Stock Trex. Want to, give us space, right? Give us time from a training standpoint and advertise the product. So right there, this is how you get that dealer to really be successful. Don't just tell them product. Don't just put up a display of it and train them. Say, we have to get you at least a Trex Pro, if not multiple ones, to truly make you successful.
When you're engaged with their customers as well, it stimulates the relationship with them tenfold, right? Rather than just walking in with donuts and shaking their hand, say, hey, I'm here to sell you Trex, right? You go in, you actually care about their business and you're bringing them a Trex Pro and you're working with their pull-through business. It puts the relationship on steroids, literally.
We got the saying, own the contractor, then you own the dealer. I don't mean that in a negative way. I truly mean that, which is powerful when Robert and his peers can walk into a lumberyard and say, just spoke to Joe, at Marsh Construction. He's all on board, loves the lineage. Talk about, is that dealer really going to try to diffuse that? No, we're downstream working with their contractor and getting their loyalty. All right, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to support Marsh Construction. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, and once we get them on board, these guys, this is a badge of honor. I mean, I can tell you all of my Trex Pros, from the golds up, they all are wearing shirts that say Trex Pro Platinum or Trex Pro Gold on them. Mm-hmm. It's a badge of honor when they walk into a consumer, a potential customer, and they've got the lead through Trex. They walk in wearing Trex garb, right? It's a big thing for them. It kind of surprised me coming distribution into this role, how proud these contractors are to be a Trex Pro. One of the things I'll touch on is when they're in front of a consumer, they are much more reputable if they're on our website, right? So the consumer's much more at ease when they've gotten a name and then they've called them, right? Rather than just somebody showing up to give them a bid, right? it kind of reverses the whole role.
There's really no coincidence that all of our biggest dealers nationwide are tied to the biggest Trex pros in their markets, and they have that Trex pro business that is kind of the core and the base of that dealer business. So it's important.
Yeah. It's. So our contractor development team, Andy Guerin handles all of Texas. He handles, multiple states, but, as far as Texas is concerned, he's gonna be our contractor development manager. Super knowledgeable guy, super great guy to work with. His, manager is Todd Ferris, super guy. Can't say enough about Todd. These guys are kind of, our experts. We handle the front here. We've got a ton of people behind us. These are the experts. These are the guys at 30,000 feet. They're really owning these relationships with these contractors and stuff. And it's worth mentioning, once we develop a relationship with a contractor, we definitely maintain it. I can tell you my contractor base, I'm on a first name basis with all of them, personal relationships at this point, right? So once we get them on our team, we keep them on our team. This touches somewhat on the marketing, as Ned alluded to earlier. A lot of these guys may have a website, some of them don't. Some of them are just as green as they can be. When we vet them, we're looking for people with vision. So a lot of these guys may have a website and they're looking for traffic. Once they attach their wagon to us, their views, their footprint gets monstrous compared to anything they could do on their own. In fact, we've got not only our marketing team, but we've got a couple of contractors in the state that have taken it to outside marketing. They've gotten that big. This is the gateway to bigger things, right?
One thing too, I mean, I don't want you to think that this is, oh, wow, it's gotta be a deck builder only. They gotta be a pretty big company to even think about this program. Quite a bit of our Trex pros are general repair and remodel, general construction. Decking might not even be part of their primary part of their business. Or for some of them, it is, right? It's in their name, right? You know, Warner's Decking, right? So point is that everybody starts off somewhere small, right? And some of them could be, hey, decking's only, when I get a referral, if I've done their kitchen, their roof, their windows, their siding, maybe they'll give me the deck job. That's fine. Let's start them off there. If they do 2-3 decks a year, they will quickly realize how profitable this segment is. It is a highly profitable part of the repair and remodel segment for most of these contractors. And when they start seeing how quickly it's growing, the amount, the size of the decks, and then now they're working on the outside of the home versus a lot more complications on the inside, right? And if people are staying in their homes longer, right, with interest rates where they are and everything, that people are gonna invest more in that outdoor space, and that outdoor space continues to be one of the fastest growing areas. So my point is, decking might not be very big for them right out of the gate, but once they're a Trex pro and you start seeing the leads and that business grow, guess what? It's gonna become a much bigger part of their business. And the other ancillary benefit, direct benefit, is that it'll help the rest of their business. Somebody just paid them a lot of money to build a deck. They're probably going to want them to do their windows, their siding, their doors, right? Other parts of it. So we're helping grow their overall business, which is helping your dealer grow their overall business, right? So it is something that is a springboard, and we'll find folks that, damn, I barely used to do decks. That's the vast majority of it. I'm not messing with roofs and other products now, right? Because they see how profitable this category can be.
We had a guy in Central Texas, not to touch on this in the first segment, but I will again. We had a guy in Central Texas, Texas Remodeling Pros, signed him on as Trex Pro 3 years ago. This past year, he changed his name to Texas Deck Pros. He's no longer doing remodeling at all, and he's a powerful builder in San Antonio. To the point of, he's got outside marketing. I just had a meeting with his marketing girl and a guy from Houston to introduce him to her marketing girl. He signed a contract this week. These guys, once they're on here and they've got vision, like Ned said, it's a springboard. These guys.
Who's their distributor?
What's that?
Who's their distributor?
Well, you'd have to talk to their retail yard and figure that out, right?
What would you say, Rob,
How's that?
is the volume they're doing in Trex?
He'll do $1 million this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
He'll be a
you know, that's
$1
a
million
niche, for sure. They're not all $1 million guys, but that's.
Lauren, down in Texas, his vision is $10 million. He wants to be a $10 million Trex Pro in 5 years.
And there's a fact that the average Trex pro, and especially as they get higher up in the ranks, golds and platinums, that they will, for the exact same size project, and quote, they historically are able to charge more and do charge more, rightly so, for the reputation, what the marketing, the positioning of the brand, that they can charge more than a non-Trex Pro. And the reality is, if you're a homeowner about to spend that kind of money, to my point earlier, spend $50,000, is this really something I want to get cheap on and go with the least expensive person, or the one that's Neb's Dex that has no accreditation, no connection to the manufacturer, or Marsh Construction, who's a Trex Pro? I'm gonna maybe give Marsh Construction more than 30, 50K than trying to be cheap on it, right? So the point is, when they have that level of accreditation with us, that they're gonna see their profitability and their ability to charge more than their competition be much easier, versus a rush to the lowest quote. No, they can hold their own because of their reputation and their association to our brand.
And the flip side of that is, I've got a contractor in Houston, who's selling a ton of signature railing, right? And that's simply because he's going in with the homeowner and he's upselling them right from the gate. He's saying, not only do you want a deck, but you want a beautiful rail with it. So instead of leading with, hey, what's your budget? What can we do? Ended up with a wood rail and a pressure treated deck. He's got them on signature decking and signature railing, right? So, that's the backside benefit for us, is they're not only, growing our market, but they're upselling, profit and top is what we say.
This is, and it's just good sales coaching and development of contractors who oftentimes who will offer decks. Hey, they slap 5 different brands on the table. I'll build you any brand you want. You name it, I'll build it, right? Versus, hey, being laser focused on the number one brand, or maybe 2 brands. They offer us a competitor, because that's their allegiance. Having them laser focused and leading to that consumer, hey, these are the 2 I'm an expert in, or this is the only one I install. That's pretty powerful. Now they get past talking about the differences between the 5 different brands. Now they're selling the deck, right? Now they're focused on the size of it, the look, right? When they're gonna get going, as opposed to 3-sided, 4-sided, scallop, PVC, forget decorator, mineral based products. No, get past that. I'm a Trex Pro, number 1 brand. Great. Let's now start talking about the design, right? Helps them be better sales people, right? If they're laser focused.
This touches a little bit on what we talked about earlier with the marketing segment of, what we own as far as the internet. When we bring these Trex Pros on, if you go to the computer, we'll get into this in a minute about just saying it around your phone, but if you go to the computer and you actually type in the word deck or decking, we own 60+% of that traffic, right? So this graph right here is a real simple illustration of last year. Trex deckings in blue, composite decking in general. You see how they mirror each other. TimberTech, Fibron, and Decorators are down here. So you can see how powerful the Trex name is and what we own on the web. So it's a direct correlation. That's very powerful. We're meeting a contractor trying to bring him on as a Trex Pro. This is the kind of information they want to know. The steps to becoming a Trex Pro. Most of the leads we get are through online. Some of the best leads we get are organically. So if you're in a dealer yard or you're working with a retail team or something, and they've got a contractor in there, a lot of these guys, we find out after the fact, they put down 5 decks this year. And it's like, hey, you're a candidate. We want to talk to you. So don't be afraid. If you're in somebody's lumber yard or you're talking to them on the phone and they're placing a big Trex deck, ask them, where's this job going? Who's putting this down? This could be a solid lead for us, right? And then once you convert that guy to Trex Pro and he gets on board and he's drinking the Kool-Aid, as Corey says, then you've upgraded this guy and now you're working with the customer's deal or installer. That really builds relationships. That's an accelerant to relationship building. So once they install 3 decks, we'll get a phone call or we get a lead, an email through the leads generation. And we go out and we meet with the contractor on the job, and then we look the job over. And essentially, we're not looking at, the structural value of the product. We're looking to see gapping, butt joining, butting to the house, stuff like that. We're in overall craftsmanship, because they're representing us, not when a customer or consumer goes to Trex.com and finds a builder. It has our name on it, right? It's almost a recommendation by Trex. This guy's going to be at your house installing the deck, right? So we want to make sure it's installed properly, not only structurally or from a warranty type aspect, but we also want aesthetically to be a a nice product, $100. So this is what we talked about. They register 3 jobs. We come out and do that. And then, we send this off to Andy Draper. We're usually in communication with Andy long before this is this far down the process, but we send it off to Andy, said we walked the job. This guy qualifies. Andy turns them on. Within a day or two, they're on the website and they're up and running. It's kind of, humbling when you meet some of these small guys and they get on the website. It's like, there's a big smile on their face. They're like, I'm somebody new, right?
We've had contractors ask, and then maybe just kind of step back. So how much do you charge for this? Because that's the value that they saw to his point. Wow, you're going to put me on your website. You're going to let me put images up. You're going to give me literature, training, sales kits. Consumers are going to see my name in that area and I'm going to get leads for this. And it's free, yeah, because it's self-funding, right? It helps us, helps you, helps them, right? But that's the perception and the value that a contractor could see in this, because we're, to my point earlier, we're their marketing company and we're their lead generation company. They can now, to some degree, sit back and see the phone ring and, and the emails float in because the consumer's finding them a lot easier and more frequently.
Had lunch with a guy, John Maddox, down in League City a couple weeks ago. Signed him up as a Trex Pro and took him to lunch, gave him a hat, shirt, congratulated him, welcome aboard. He said, I gotta tell you, I saw my first job off the Trex League the other day, $45,000. He couldn't have been any happier. And in a matter of 3 days, he already had to leave the job off the league.
So is there a minimum, like I see there, you gotta have 3 decks to submit, but like companies like OC, I don't know about their decking line, but their roofing, a lot of their preferred contractors have to buy a certain amount. Do y'all have
It's not a volume.
a volume?
Essentially, we want to see 3 decks down, right?
That's it.
Yeah, and then when they register them, I'll be candid with you, it's kind of an honor system. There's 2 ways to register. You can do square footage or you can do it by the pieces, right? Or it's lineal footage. Lineal footage or by the pieces, right? We're not gonna walk out and do every job and do that, but we gotta trust them to be at least semi-accurate with that information.
For you to get in, and then we'll share in a moment tiers that are volume based. So if you want to move up with us, you hit these volume thresholds that the material is worth.
That's when the minimums do come into that.
Exactly.
But you get them in so they can build the volume.
Yeah, but and just to reiterate, we don't just, it's not every guy that calls. We've got tons of leads coming in. We vet them behind the scenes, then we reach out to them and then we go meet with them. Take it from there.
This is a quality, not quantity approach, right? Not everybody should be a Trex Pro. Just a drywaller does a deck once a year, might not be the ideal person to put on the website. You know what I mean?
The thing that makes me cringe the most is when somebody puts a deck down that's not a qualified installer. Correct. It shouldn't be putting a deck down. They have a ton of problems with the deck and you hear them say, I've never used Trex again, because the experience in general was bad. It was installed wrong, but all they know is the Trex. So, right? That drives me crazy. This is our webpage. You can see at the top, this is where a consumer would log on and go to find a builder. This gets into the tiers, but before we do that, I'll let Ned touch on the quality of leads that we generate off here versus organic leads that might come to a builder.
Yeah.
Word of mouth or something
Yeah,
like that.
no, thank you. Oftentimes some folks, they'll use different sources for leads and we even saw it. We acquired Dex.com multiple years ago. And oftentimes you'll find people that are just Dex.com or wood customers, right? They might be kicking tires and they're not looking to spend composite money, right? And, they're looking for wood pricing, etc. So the point is, when somebody comes to Trex.com, the consumer, they're there for a while researching the product. We're giving them a lot of resources to get a feel for how much this product will cost, right? So we've done a lot to educate them in advance to the value of this. So by the time that consumer is calling that Trex Pro or visiting that lumberyard, in many cases now, they've done their research for plenty in advance, or for a while that they're vetted. We call it a hot lead or a very qualified lead. We even sell samples online. People will spend $30-$40 to buy a sample. That's somebody that's truly interested. That's not a tire kicker, right? That's somebody that's saying, I'm ready to buy and I'm just now figuring out which product I'm going to be, size, etc. So the point would be the people that the leads that we get today, those Trex Pros, they're very hot. They're very qualified. They are often closed at a higher percentage than when somebody just throws shotgun approach and runs an ad and just says, hey, I'm a deck builder or I'm a lumberyard selling, decking. No, these are qualified individuals that are truly more apt to wanting to buy higher end products and spend more. So it's a very qualified versus how many contractors are frustrated when they go out on 10 calls and they only close one, and they get quantity of leads isn't good. Quality of leads is what we do, giving them very good ones.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a little flyer hanging on your front door, it's a deck builder. Versus if you're on Trex.com looking for a deck builder, then you can imagine, right? This is getting into the minimums, which you're talking about a minute ago. These are our thresholds for the different tiers that we have as far as Trex Pros go. Trex Pro is when you've done 3 decks, we come out and inspect it, we get you on the website, you become a Trex Pro officially. The Trex Pro Gold is when in the state of Texas, now these thresholds vary state to state, so this wouldn't transfer like if you're talking with somebody up in the Northeast or something. But in Texas, $65,000 gets you to a gold status, and then $130,000 to a platinum. And as we go down these slides, I think it gets into some of the warranty stuff, and we'll touch on that. On the profile page, what we try to impress on these contractors, it's a lot like Amazon. If you go to Amazon and you're looking at a product and there's no reviews on it, you're much less likely to click buy, right? Same thing with when you're on Trex.com looking for a builder. If you've got 2 builders side by side, one has no reviews and one has 40 reviews, we know who's going to get the phone call, right? Same thing with photos. Where you says view gallery, up-to-date photos. We work very closely with the contractors. If they're taking pictures with an iPhone at deck level, we try to work with them and try to get them onto a drone with some of their funding. We want professional shots of these decks, right? Really showcase them. Pictures like this is what we're looking for, right? Not just some picture with lawn burning on it on the deck. Get an estimate. So here's the different tiers and some of the benefits. Really the 2 things to me to separate the different tiers are going to be the zip codes and the labor warranty, right? So when you're a Trex Pro, you get 1 zip code. Typically it's the zip code of your office or where you're doing business out of. And so when somebody goes to Trex.com, say, Dallas, find a contractor 25 miles. Well, if you live in Arlington, those guys are going to show up probably further down the list. But if you're a Trex Pro Gold, you get 3 zip codes, or a Platinum, you get 5. Well, those guys will typically do those zip codes around Dallas. For if you're in Arlington, you type that in, further up the list they go, right? As far as the warranty goes, on all of our products, if you're a Trex Pro, we carry a labor warranty with it. So if you're a Trex Pro and you put down just a deck, you get a 1-year labor warranty with that. So if there's an issue or something like that, Trex is going to help the labor when you go out on the claim. If you're a gold, it goes to 3 years. If you're a platinum, it goes to 5 years. Now there's an attachment, kind of a bonus to that. So our railing system carries the same warranties. So if you're attaching a rail to a deck, say you're a platinum and you put down a Trex signature deck and you put a signature rail on it, both of those carry a 5-year labor warranty. So what the pro walks away with is a 10-year labor warranty on that deck and rail system in a backyard. That's a huge comfort level for not only the consumer, but for the builder, right? And they wear that as a badge of honor too. If something goes wrong with your deck for 10 years, I'm going to be back out here and fix it for you.
Is that Trex funded? Or
yes, it is. Yep. It's all independent of itself. Any questions? No, was a kind of a shotgun approach, but I can't reiterate enough that once we develop a relationship with these guys, we maintain them. That's how important they are to us. It's a personal thing to us.
Our ask for Trex Pro is you folks are seeing and talking to the dealer more than our folks, right? Because they're dividing their time being contractors, builders, architects, everything else. When you're at the dealer, trying to find, Robert mentioned, opportunities to get people in the Trex Pro program. And then you hand that lead off to our folks, right? We'll follow up with them. And guess what? We're going to make sure that, hey, DW on behalf of so-and-so lumber sent me to say that you might be interested in a program. Now you folks are getting that credit, that connection, right, to the lumber yard for trying to help get one of their contractors into the program. So anytime you got a lead, send it to the Trex team, and we can even go visit the contractor hand in hand, right? Doesn't have to be just us doing it. We'll happily go with you. Okay.
And that goes for inside sales as well, as I touched on earlier. If you get a phone call and somebody's looking for $40,000 with Trex, we want to know who that individual is, even if it's a commercial job, right? We want to better understand where that product's going and who's putting it down. All right, I'll hand it off to Corey.
All right. Trex decking, Trex decking, Trex decking.
Timber Tech.
He's fired. He's fired. So I bet you in a few days, you're gonna see some ads to talk about the amazing Trex, right? How you should install it on your deck. And that's really what marketing is. And when you partner with the #1 brand in deck composite, it's also partnering with the #1 marketing team. So that's a feature and a benefit that highly needs to be utilized when you're talking to your customers and we're trying to sell them on stocking and selling Trex. So how the heck do you do that? There's a variety of different ways that you can attract, engage a customer and get them to that buying purchase. So we can do outdoor billboards. That's an option. Any type of signage can be done. If you name it, we can create it. We really can put this to the test. Television, radio ads, display ads, social and search ads. In fact, one thing that we need to do is we need to get some Trex up in here at the corporate DWs. One thing that I'm going to make happen if I can get permission. So if we see an ad online during a YouTube commercial, that's something that can be done, and we can gauge it directly towards that lumber yard. Right now, no lumber yard in the state of Texas or Oklahoma is currently running an ad. So this is something that the sales reps or customer service reps that we can pitch to make happen. To really be outside the box. If you notice, my independent dealers, most of them are a certain age, they're very old school. And I told them 10 years ago, hey, I highly recommend you create a Facebook page. They laughed. Everybody got time for that. But actually, if you don't have a Facebook page now and you don't have something associated when people Google you, you're done for. So this allows us to assist them in every single way to help convert that to a sale where they're online, coming up with a Instagram or social media campaign. You can pay for ad space. It could be customized towards just that dealer. They could be at the top whenever you type something in. Guess what? Heights Lumber or Bob's Lumber and wherever in Houston, Texas. And that gives them a competitive edge that no one else has. And I can tell you one thing, our competitors aren't doing this. They aren't nearly as powerful as we are. It is just something with you stocking and being able to offer Trex to your customer. This is a unique competitive advantage that you can offer to that lumberyard. Do it for me digital marketing. Because the other thing that scares and intimidates people is like, oh, well, I don't understand all this. If you trust the brand of Trex, if you trust the DW sales rep, you can trust us that we're going to take care of you in our marketing team. So we'll take all the guesswork out for you. This is literally a plug and play system. A lot of us don't understand how the internet works, but essentially I'll tell you this. It's all about who's been on the internet the longest, not who has the fanciest website. So you have a lot of, you're grandfathered in a certain space, and the Google robots recognize that, man, Trex is a very solid, reputable website. So you will then tie yourself to Trex, just like a Trex Pro or a dealer lumberyard. When they say, yard near me, Trex decking, boom, and then we put them on our website, that gives them additional credibility and a boost. So for a lumberyard who wants to grow their business, all they got to do is say, you know what, sure, I'll use my SBA funds that I've earned and built up from selling Trex. So it's a win-win. It's not costing them anything directly out of their pockets. And then they get it at a discounted price because we have a national relationship, as you can imagine, with Google. So they're only paying $4,000 when it should really cost them $16,000 to $22,000. And that's a quarterly campaign. We can try it, we can measure it and see what works. And maybe we got more people from YouTube, or maybe we got more people from a Google search. We can really get granular and have that conversation along with myself and the account manager, as well as my marketing specialist to help that. Co-branded ads. If you want to do some shirts with us, we can make it happen. We can put Trex, DW, and Bob's Lumber on there as well. We definitely know the national campaigns, and we can strategically run a local one and let the national do it so you get more bang for your buck. If you want to create a custom commercial, that's something that could be done as well. So the takeaway is everybody at home and every customer sales rep, if you can, just identify those top customers. Just like Robert mentioned earlier, how if someone's ordering a one-off $40,000 order, we need to know who that customer is. They would be ideal to help grow their business. If they're doing a lot of small orders, that's okay. We can work with that. I see how they're doing a lot of basics. Let's run the campaign to see if we can sell some Enhance, some Transcend, and even some Signature. We can understand our budget together. And a nice thing is a lot of times DW is a friendly distributor and a great partner. When we're at that meeting, I'm hearing the pain points of that dealer. They're willing to put a little bit of skin in the game. Me and DW and Trex, we can cover the rest to really let them see the value of our partnership. I think it's a win-win all around. We can kind of do that. Because I want a display, but maybe you don't have the $5K to pay for the display. But 3 ways, now it's affordable. Leverage the brand. This truly is a blessing to not just sell some composite, but you're selling the #1 composite in the game. And we started and everybody else just came after us. We've been around longer than our actual warranty. So that's something that should give them peace of mind when we talk about creating a marketing program custom for them. And then we make it easy. All they got to do is say yes. I'll run around. Any account manager, Casey or Robert, myself, we'll do whatever it takes. And again, we have a specialized channel marketing specialist who doesn't live somewhere randomly out of state, but actually lives in Houston, and he can be mobile. His name is Manib. You're going to all get a copy of this, but save his number. He's awesome. I'll tell you one quick story. A lumberyard really wanted to grow their business and focus on the lakes. So they sent him I directed him, hey, call my guy Manib. He put together a nice flyer for them. So they were able to go to hit up all the cars, all the houses around that lake to kind of flyer. They were able to get a sale out of it. So just something that simple to associate. You know, I'm the lumberyard. Here's my logo, and I have Trex. Here's a special we're running. Call me now. And we talked about the Trex Pro program, but what I'm seeing is we have a lot of customers that have custom builders. Like I don't want just a random contract. I'm a custom home builder, and I do these. But they can get in the game as well, and they can get a co-op back. So for however much they sell, there's a certain percentage that they can get back, and we can help them grow their business well and give them some resources. And something that I don't know if we talked about it yet, but Trex University. So if you have somebody that buys a lot or want to grow their business with Trex, again, we're the perfect partner, and we can take them to our headquarters and give them a tour of how it's made in the plant. I know some of y'all are going there next month, actually, as a matter of fact. But that's not just exclusive to distribution. That's something that we can invite potential customers or people who are thinking about being Trex pros or people who are thinking about being a part of our Trex Builder program.
Quick, can I jump in there?
Yes.
Talk about a relationship builder. Get a targeted account with a Trex you. You have 2 or 3 days, one-on-one with these people while they're learning. It's great for relationship building.
Yeah, the mindset for every account manager should be, who are my top 3 lumberyards that I'm going to take? And we should encourage them to be picking out who their potential Trex pro is going to be. Earlier it was mentioned, I mean, we all know Leroy Jordan. You want to know why Leroy Jordan's such a kick-ass dealer? It's because, for one, they adopted early, right? They didn't say, oh, composite's too expensive. But probably the second most important thing is that there's 5 different Trex Pro contractors that feed into that business. So it's always going to move, so it's easy to say yes to stocking it. And so together, between the yard, the account manager, and whoever your Trex rep is, we got this. We can really make it happen. And they should be going to Trex U. So that's kind of what that is. I hit that. Another thing, I know it sounds real fake or fancy, but we literally are the #1s in the game. So we have access to certified architects. So a lot of times they have questions about, you know, the sustainability of it. What's it made of? What's the warranty? I can go there and pitch. Maybe their specialty is classrooms, or maybe it's commercial properties and or apartments. I go in there with the account manager for DW because he set up the meeting. Then I go there and certify them. I have to do my little legal thing for the first 30 minutes, but the last 20 minutes, we're talking about nothing about Trex. And they're like, wow, I had no idea that I could spec this in. It's a better product than the wood I've always been using. And now, for all we know, every apartment commercial property, every clubhouse has 10,000 square feet worth of Trex. Or this particular unit, they want to do a volleyball court. And instead of wood walking out to the sand pit, they're using Trex. All because we decided to mention it and make it aware that this was an option that could be done. So we can do that and offer courses.
Yeah, they're called continuing education units. Anybody ever heard of that? CEUs, right? We have 2 courses that earn them credits. So from that standpoint, we're treating for the lunch, giving them the presentation on that. That's to his point, very neutral, right? It's just talking about decking, right? The category itself. It's not brand specific. And then after that, we do the Trex presentation for them, right? So it's a great way to kick that door open. So anytime you've got any visibility or your dealers do access to some or architect networks or folks that are getting together monthly, quarterly, let us know. We'd be happy to host and treat one of those.
So we're halfway through the year, and a lot of times people are asking what? Well, I can get it cheaper here. What's the best price I can get? The best way they can get the best price is to buy a truckload, especially during an SBF program, which typically starts in about October. Since we're clearly in the middle of the year, we got 6 months to go. A good way you can ease them in is to get them to buy 6 units. Very easy thing to do. Let's let them get their toe in the water. See how successful selling those 6 units was. Wow, you stopped it and then you sold it over the course of 4 weeks. Now it sets you up as the account manager, the sales rep, to now say, hey, I think a truckload would make more sense and I can offer you this discount if you buy between the next 3 months. So that's something to really keep in mind. And then guess what? You're now added on top of the Trex website. So when people are looking for who to call, that dealer is now on the national Trex brand website. And again, we have all that credibility to where they're going to pop up, especially if they put us on our own dealer website too. Just a thought. We're available to do trainings at any time you call us. And if we just want to go for the lowest hanging fruit, at minimum, there should be a slat wall displayed at every customer of yours. Once they go in there, it's the silent seller. They see that big name Trex glistening. We got 22 sample boards that we can touch, feel, smell. I understand the name. Oh, this is Tiki Torch. This is Havana Gold. It starts to really click for the customer, as well as these awesome displays. I don't know what kind of railing I want, but the fact that I can see and touch it and it's available in the store goes a long way. We talk about being competitive with Lowe's. This is one way the independents can kick Lowe's butt, by having a solid display and a slat wall. So at minimum, that's my recommendation for being a successful dealer.
Corey, also with those slat walls, what's incorporated on them, we have 2 shelves of 3.5-inch samples. So a consumer can touch and feel at the yard, but they can also take home a color to match for the project to match.
Yeah. And so, of course, this rock star is Robert Marsh. He covers Houston and South Texas. I cover Dallas and Oklahoma. And then we got Casey, who covers San Antonio and Austin. And so with that being said, if you need anything, just call us anytime. I'm going to introduce Ryan. He works, particularly speaking of Lowe's, he focuses on Home Depot and Lowe's, all of them in the same territory as myself. So, Mr. Ryan.
He does have any slides.
And I'm excited. I'm rocking and rolling. So real quick, I know we're short on time here. My name is Ryan McClain, Territory Account Representative for North Texas and Oklahoma. Territory account representatives, like Corey said, we cover big box retail locations, so Lowe's and Home Depot. Our expectations as a TAR is contractor pull through, so identifying contractor leads, vetting them, making sure they have what they need, their questions are being answered, and they have our phone number in case they need something. We do a lot of in-store marketing like A-frames, displays, bungee banners, all that good stuff. We also make sure that the aisle is perfectly executed. So whenever a customer comes in to build the deck project, they see Trex and that's what they want to go with. We make sure that they do that by, keep making sure our racks look good. They're full. The boards are clean. The boards are full, flat, and fresh. And then the last thing is we make sure all the associates are completely trained up and well-versed in how to sell Trex. They have the resources that they need. They're familiar with our online resources like our deck design tool, material estimator tool, cost calculator, all that good stuff. And, they have samples and literature ready to pass out to the customers. Retail is about 50% of the business, which is huge, and it makes me very happy. If you guys need to get a hold of your local TAR, every account manager has a corresponding TAR in their market. So reach out to them, or you can always call 1-800-BUY-TREX, and they will point you in the right direction. So that's all I got.
There's essentially 2 TARs in Texas, okay, McMillan and
Maine.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. All right, that was a lot. We preface it, we're not going to leave you an expert on all of our products. This was trying to establish a baseline. a lot of resources, Trex Academy, Trex.com, a lot of videos, our people. Anytime you need more training, your dealers need it. They're a phone call and email away. We will give you that, whether or not it's over the phone, FaceTime, in person. We want to help you get more comfortable with this category, right? And same with your customers too. And the strengths of what we covered up in the back half of the presentation, how we help our dealers create demand and pull this product through and awareness. That's our strength. It has been for a long time. And the more you could bring that value to the dealer, you're going to separate yourself from everybody else. Okay. Any questions back to the products that if you've thought of or any of the programs?
The cladding, the siding, where is that market? Is that a Texas thing or is that more northern?
Started more out west, kind of where it originated. It's not regional as much as it is application based, right? It's more commercial. Look around now. Now that we mentioned it, anytime you're driving, you're going to notice deck board profiles now around, as he mentioned, Panda Express and coffee shops and commercial. Building I moved into in 18 has a competitor cladding on it just as an accent. A lot of it's stucco and glass, but they just had some vertical application of deck boards on there. So it's started a little bit out west in terms of our success, but it's been moved all over the country because we're bringing awareness to something that not a lot of people ever thought about a deck board is the siding, you know what I mean?
So if you find yourself in Granbury, Texas, Stonewater Church is completely made out of tiki torch. It's really sharp.
We have a location in Oklahoma City too, if someone wants to see it. And it serves as a dual purpose. Say you're just stocking Trex. You can also, somebody has the cladding job, so it's a win-win.
So that's the 3-sided.
Remember, it's a transcend. It's not a different product. The same deck board is used for cladding, but in the transcend family only.
Like the moisture issue, do you need a rain screen? Can you just apply it to the WRV? Do you?
Yeah, no, you need some sort of a weatherable membrane behind it, right? And that's up to, again, the builder, the city, the whoever's commissioning the project to decide what kind of membrane they want behind the Trex. All the Trex is doing is providing a aesthetic cladding on the side, right? And there's an air gap, which is the 1.5-inch furring strip that goes behind it that allows air and water to flow through. And then, of course, you've got to gap it, 1/4 inch.
And your warranty is on the product, not the application?
Right. Yes. If it's installed properly and the product fails, then we need that.
Yeah, the Trex is warranty basically against itself, right? Like as Ned touched on earlier. We're not gonna come out, you put a product down with camo fasteners and it's got a problem with the pool, but like I said, well, you use camo fasteners, sorry. Now if that job blows up off of the dock, then yeah, that's an attachment problem. That's not a Trex problem.
Good question. Okay. Any other questions?
We're currently time.
Great question. I'm proud and happy to say it's at 4 weeks or less right now. Haven't been able to say that for a lot of this last several years. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's why there is a brand new spanking $300 million plant being currently constructed in Little Rock, Arkansas. That is gonna be, if you take our 2 current plants and put them together from a space standpoint, it's bigger than the current capacity we have as a company. So you should feel very comfortable in your customers about our future ability to deliver lead times and have product available. And guess what? Look how close it is to you folks. You'll probably eventually pull from there, which will mean even quicker lead times, lower freight costs, right? So.
I talked to Corey yesterday about color match screws. You said we were bringing something in, but I think it's the plugs that you were.
Hopefully it's a whole line, brother.
So when you're saying we're bringing something in, is that including the color match screws? Because we've lost a couple.
Yeah, all of it, all of it. Fortunately, you folks, and unfortunately, you don't have Fastmaster Starborn. You don't have somebody that, like a lot of other distributors are currently in, and they're looking to migrate over to ours. You don't have the screw options. I hope that you go all in on our screws and our plugs. That's the goal, right? I mean, the consumer's going to want to have to know that I can get an answer to any color that they buy, not, hey, I only have the enhanced, but I don't have anything for you for transcend.
Tell Keith and Mike, hey, I have lost a couple of sales.
So that'll be
a lot. I mean,
If it was up to me, I would say, yeah, we need it all, but it's not.
hearing it internally from you is what will get it done. We're still wearing Trex shirts, but hearing, hey, I talked to some people on the phone, just send them a quick email and then we'll take it from there.
It just completes it, right? Somebody wants to buy the decking from you, the fascia and the railing, everything. They want to be able to get the entire solution from you, right? And not have to You don't have the screws, I may call the other guy. You know what I mean?
I can tell you Mike in his past life did composite decking and fasteners being part of the business. He understands it.
We've got, he worked for Prime Source like Stephen did, so he's very familiar with the fasteners and we spoke to him about it. So stay tuned. Hopefully you'll be in that very soon.
Exact, correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all stock every color board.
We're missing just the lava rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so everybody.
Yeah, you can miss that. You're okay. The low seller, one of the lowest.
It's hot on the feet.
So that kind of answers a lot. It's safe to say, hey, we have every color except lava rock. So we're probably not gonna pick anyway.
And you can get it in 4 weeks, but you need it.
Once we open up a branch in Hawaii, maybe
That'll be hot color there.
that's funny.
What else? What else, folks? These are good questions. I like it.
Are we on allocation, Bill?
No.
We can order some.
Absolutely.
Yes. Hey, guys, also, look, let me impress on you. If you have a question, don't be bashful. Don't feel like, oh, this is embarrassing or something. Reach out to us. Right? We're here for you.
We had long lead times last year. That might be where your question came from, but we got off of that in the beginning of this year.
And I'm local. If you need me to come in and you got a question, just text me on the side. Hey, Corey, can you come explain this or whatever? Like, shoot, use me. Shoot, we can go do lunch or something, you know?
Thank you again. Appreciate it. Got some questions here. Come up to us.
Business
Chat.
cards?
Business cards, gentlemen, the local folks, the four.
Robert, that's my territory.
Thank you again. Thank you for the support.
Thank you guys.
Have a great weekend. All right.